Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we have a new Foo Fighters album here. Your favorite toy. There we go. Your favorite toy. I've got to be honest, I have not enjoyed the singles for this album so far. I don't know how many they put out. I've heard 2 of them, and I did not like either of them. Yeah, I heard Your Favorite Toy, the title track, which I gave a 3. Thought it sounded just absolutely trash. The production on this shit was just so fuzzy, and there was no EQing on this shit. And it just felt like the song was just blown so far out of proportion sonically, and I absolutely hated it. Okay? Then I listened to Caught in the Echo, and I thought that song was a little better. I thought it was actually a better written track. I thought that it had some stronger performances, but like I say here, this would be a super solid Foo Fighters track if it was mixed or EQ'd like at all. I didn't listen to Of All People. I didn't listen to that third single, but yeah, I'm going into this album with very mixed expectations based on these 2 singles. I thought their last album was really solid. I thought But Here We Are was a great dive into the more emotional side of the band, obviously after Dave Grohl lost both his mother and of course Taylor Hawkins passed away. I thought that album did a good job at putting across those very strong emotions in a way that was pretty heavy, in a way that was still able to be actually quite deep cutting on a decent handful of tracks on the album, while still being a pretty fun like rock listen at the same time. My biggest problem with that album was the production. I hate this super fuzzy, very high EQ'd sound that they're going for, where it's just so much high end, everything feeling like it's just so blown out of proportion in the mixing too. I just don't like this sound that they've been going for on their last couple of releases, and unfortunately it seems like that's what they're continuing with here. I much prefer the sound of albums like Wasting Light, where, you know, Butch Vig obviously produced that project. It's like super heavy, everything is like mixed perfectly, you get an actual nice balance of high end and low end. It feels like there's an actual competent person on the fucking EQ board. And yeah, just a great sense of dynamics on that album too, that I feel like has kind of been missing from Foo Fighters' more recent stuff. You never know though, maybe the rest of this album can win me over. Maybe the singles will grow on me this time around. I'm hoping that's the case. I'm hoping I do enjoy this listen. But yeah, people have been quite mixed on this so far, to say the least, where their previous album got a 78 user score based on 4,000 ratings. This one only has 300 so far, but still a 57. That's quite a downgrade. That's quite an immense downgrade. Tied for their lowest rated album along with Medicine at Midnight from 2021. I'm nervous. I don't have the highest expectations going into this, but I'm really hoping it can win me over. I'm really, really hoping it can. It's 10 tracks, 36 minutes. Let's do this shit. Track 1, Caught in the Echo. Sounds like shit. Yeah, I have to say, listening to this song again, I think that this sounds like complete and utter dog shit. Genuinely. Like, what the hell is this sound palette that we're working with here? It's so fucking saturated. It's so saturated. There is no sense of actual balancing of any of the elements here. It feels like every single aspect of this track is fighting to be at the top of the mix. The drums want to be the loudest. Dave Grohl wants to be the loudest. The guitars, the bass. Everything just wants to be the loudest, so it's all going like this at the top of the mix. And it sounds like shit. It sounds like complete shit. There's not a single second of this track that sounds consistent with the previous one. Oh my god, this mixing is bad. Mum said it was my turn to be the loudest? Yeah. Some things you can't divide. Is this what Zeppelin sounds like to people who hate Zeppelin? Now, here's what I will say. This is a very well-written track, and I think the performances are fucking incredible. There is a good song here. This is a good song, but the execution is fucking horrible. This is like such a butchering of a genuinely well-written track that could be like a solid intro to a solid album. But this, being the way this album kicks off, everything is just so like blurry and fuzzy, and there's no real sense of focus here. It just immediately is advertising an album that is going to be very scattershot sonically, and I cannot really get behind those choices, even if I do think the song itself we are being presented here is good. Probably goes hard if you're driving 100 miles an hour down the Autobahn. Yeah. Like, this moment would hit really hard if there was actual dynamic range on this track, you know? If I could actually tell that this bit was supposed to be louder than the others, this would probably hit really hard. Yeah, a well-written track with some fantastic performances that is let down by, like, I don't even want to just use the word lackluster. The mixing butchers this track. It takes a fucking... like, it takes the biggest knife it can find, and it just starts tearing this track to shreds. I'm feeling like a high 3 to a flat 4 on this. That was, like, really bad. Like, the mixing on this shit is really, really fucking bad. Absolutely intolerable. I can't believe this track sounds as dog shit as it does. A bit harsh. I mean, I genuinely would say that the mixing is that bad. Genuinely. Like, it's weird, because I also didn't like it that much on But Here We Are, but with that album, like the writing and the performances were so powerful that they overpowered the mixing problems. Here, this doesn't have that. It's well written, the performances are good, but it's not enough to overpower how little care is being put into having this album sound dynamically nice, to have this track sound texturally satisfying. Everything here is just so all over the place, and it makes for a song that I can see I can see its merits, I can see what it does well, but it's just the presentation that is so disappointing. Of all people. The debut is literally Dave Grohl overdubbing onto himself, yet it still sounds cleaner than this. Yeah. I feel like the mixing on the last album wasn't even as bad as this one. Let me compare this to the opener. Rescued. The guitars don't sound great. The drums sound better. The drums sound way better. Okay, the EQing on this shit is still pretty terrible. There's still way too much high end. There's way too much fuzz on this shit. But you know, the mix is better. It's actually balanced. There is a sense of dynamics here. If this was a startup band, it'd be excusable, but they've been making music for 30 years. Exactly. And Dave Grohl has worked on some of the best produced albums of all time. Nevermind, In Utero, Songs for the Deaf. He has been involved in some of the best produced rock albums ever. And this sounds like this, you know? Favorite Foo Fighters song? That's tough. Maybe Rope. Everlong is kind of a basic pick, but Everlong's pretty incredible. Some pretty, like, solid, heavier guitar tones on this track, and I do think that the vocal melody on this track is pretty fun. But still, I think it's only marginally better than the previous one, as it still does suffer very heavily from everything just being so cluttered here. I'm feeling a low 4 on this one. Yeah, it has enjoyable moments, a couple parts where I was like, okay, I could see what they're going for here, but fucking hell, please, just bring Butch Vig back into the studio, man. Just get Butch Vig to sit down and tell everyone in the room to stop doing what they're doing and make the album sound decent. Oh my fucking god. Right, we just compared it to their last album. Let's compare this shit to a song that Butch Vig produced. Like, a super heavy track like Bridge Burning on this album. I've not listened to Sonic Highways yet, so I wouldn't be able to compare. These are my famous last words. Great dynamics. Notice how the song actually gets quieter there. Notice how the song actually gets quieter once we get out of the blaring section. Who's the guy that produced this? Oliver Roman, what else has he worked on? An Alley Angel EP from 2022. This guy has produced two things. An Alley Angel EP from 2022, and then this Foo Fighters album. He's been an assistant engineer on a Lamb of God album, Military Gun, and a Fred Armisen album. Start of a legendary producing streak. Yeah, making what is the worst sounding Foo Fighters album that I've heard, at least. Yikes. Window up next. Big kick that they're using. Holy shit, it's like a Bonham-sized kick. She has so much depth. Thunder in the clouds, thunder in the clouds. Sensual truck monk music, yeah. Maybe I should sleep, feel my eyes weaken. I wouldn't compare this too closely to Queens of the Stone Age. Queens of the Stone Age are very specific about like making all of their albums sound completely different production-wise. Like, you know, Songs for the Deaf is like a very dense album, and then Era Vulgaris is a very dodgy album. Like Clockwork is a little raw. It's like a nice middle ground between like the sound of their first album and Songs for the Deaf, and then like their new album is specifically very raw and very rough sounding. This feels like the production is the thing they care the least about. I wouldn't compare this too closely to Queens of the Stone Age. You were a window cleaner. And it's just so rudimentary as well. Like, this track doesn't feel like it's really bringing anything new to the table, you know? That's a bit too much high-end. It's a lot of high-end. Those crashes, so washy. What cheating on your wife does to a motherfucker? Yeah. I think that's a thing. I think more so, like, Queens of the Stone Age are just like a standout band for doing this. They're one of my favorite rock bands ever. In general, every single one of their albums sounds completely different to one another. I guess besides maybe like Songs for the Deaf and Lullabies, because Lullabies tried to replicate the same sort of production style, every single one of their albums sounds completely different to one another. Whereas Foo Fighters, they kind of stick to one particular sound for like groups of albums, I've kind of noticed. Like, their first handful of albums sound very similar, and then you kind of get that Echoes, Silence, Patience, and Grace era, like where, you know, before that you have like In Your Honor and One by One. I think those three albums sound very similar. They also did then Wasting Light and Sonic Highways, and the stuff I've heard off of Sonic Highways, obviously it's the same producer, Butch Vig, they sound very similar. And then the last couple Foo Fighters albums all sound the exact same as well. They kind of just have groups of albums that all sound the exact same. It never feels like the band are truly evolving. It's like they just, okay, we're going to try this, then we're going to try this, then we're going to try this, then we're going to try this, without any sense of rhyme or reason, you know? And I think that this album is like the biggest victim of that I've heard so far, because Jesus Christ, they have just done this fuzzy shit to death, and it's just killing the actually decent like band chemistry that's on display, the actually decent playing that you're getting here. I think this track is very rudimentary and not very well written. I think that this song is incredibly basic, even for Foo Fighters standards. And as a result, you mix that with the bad production, you get the first, like, truly bad song on the album, I think. I'd give this one a low 3. That track kind of sucked. Unlucky. I'm hoping we can get at least, like, 1 or 2 good tracks on this thing, man. I'm hoping this entire thing isn't rough, dude. Your favorite toy. This is the single I really didn't like. I hope not. That's so tough to say, because even with Nirvana, all 3 of their albums sound totally different. Like, I forget who produced the first album, but obviously Bleach is like their first album. It's gonna sound like rough as it is. And then Nevermind is like one of the best produced rock albums of all time. Butch Vig bringing such a full and heavy sound to that album. And then you get In Utero, which is an incredibly raw, like super skeletal album. So it would be tough to say what their progression would be like if the band continued, because, you know, all of their shit sounds so different album to album. Okay, now he's actually trying to do a Queens of the Stone Age Josh Homme thing. Here's where Queens of the Stone Age is an apt comparison. Holy shit. I never noticed that. He's actually trying to bring, like, Josh Homme bravado to this track, and it's falling flat on its fucking face. Like, this is the worst produced song so far as well. The vocal distortion is horrible. But, like, even the vocal performance feels like it's just trying so hard to capture, like, Villains era Josh Homme as well. Like, Queens of the Stone Age's weakest album. And then sometimes it sounds like he's doing like some Britpop-esque vocals as well. I don't know what the fuck is he doing with his voice. Like, melodically speaking, I'm saying. Like, the way these melodies are constructed. Sounds like a soundtrack song to a 360 game. What do I think of the cover? The cover looks like shit. I don't know what's going on this cover. People criticize the cover of the last album for being so simple. I actually think it's, like, really fitting for the album. I think this is a great cover. This just looks like shit. I never even noticed these synthetic elements, dude. Ugh. I can see the Trent Reznor comparisons, actually. I think Trent Reznor's a pretty good comparison for what he's doing vocally here. Trying to bring that level of tensity and weirdness to his voice. Yeah, there's even, like, a nasal thing that he's doing at points throughout this track that actually does remind me a little bit of it as well. Dude, yeah, this is the single I didn't like, and I can say I like it less on this listen. I'm feeling a high 2 on this track. That was rough. Yeah, this album, it only really feels like it's going further and further down into the pitfalls of, like, the modern Foo Fighters sound. It's, ooh. Yeah, shit's rough. If only you knew. Now wait a minute. Spike Stent, is the mixing engineer on this. Hang on a sec. This guy's, like, worked on a bunch of shit, hasn't he? Yeah, he's produced for Oasis. He's produced for Madonna. Did a Robert Plant solo album. Did a Maroon 5 album. They got fucking Spike Stent in to be the mixing engineer for this album. That'll explain why it sounds like shit. Wow. Why is the bass so loud? Yeah, I know. And you can tell. New Paul McCartney, Drake, and Ringo album will destroy this. Yeah. Listen, this is why rock bands should not bring in pop producers to work on their album. Spike Stent mixing this, the mixing is shit. Queens of the Stone Age bring in fucking Mark Ronson, of all people, on Villains. They make their worst album. Still a good album, but their worst album. Can rock bands stop bringing in pop producers? Please. This song was, like, a little bit better than the previous two. I'd give it, like, a high 3. I think that this one wasn't as, like, completely egregious as especially the previous track, but still, man, this is just a truly testing listen, man. Like, Dave Grohl's songwriting ability on this album as well has taken such a hit. It feels like he's phoning in both his performances and his actual lyricism here, as he doesn't feel like he's able to, like, emulate any real feelings throughout this. It just feels like it's trying to do rock standards in the most boring, unimaginative way possible. It's just going through a checklist of, we need a solo here, we need a minor switch in the riff here, we need, you know, a random halftime drum fill here. It feels like it's, like, hitting beats as opposed to being its own track, as opposed to being its own album so far. I am, like, thoroughly not only unimpressed but disappointed, considering how emotionally open and powerful their last album was. Spitshine up next. So dense. I mean, riffing-wise, there's definitely similarities, yeah. But production-wise, I mean, I guess the last 21 Pilots album was doing a maximalist thing, kind of similar to this, but it doesn't sound this bad. Like, I think the production on that album is actually pretty great. I think it's second best produced album in their discography next to Trench. Okay. Aren't Foo Fighters like a 6-piece band? Yeah, they're a 6-piece band, and it feels like all 6 of them want to be at the top of the mix on all of these songs. All 6 of them want to have the loudest part. Like, fuck me, man. Can I not have a little bit of space to breathe? Can you not make it feel like my head's about to fucking implode from how dense and packed and tight this is? Like, I would like to be able to have just some wiggle room in this mix, please. Fuck me. Listen, the previous album didn't... Oh, did we get taken down? Lol. My ears are actually ringing. This album is so fucking loud. My ears are ringing after listening to this. That is crazy. That's how loud this shit is. I'm playing this at the normal volume I would typically play anything. The album is that tense and that fucking loud that my ears are ringing. Mental. Anyway, I'm going to go continue on the other stream. I'll see you guys over there in just a sec. Well, actually, I didn't say my score for that song. I don't know, a solid 3. We're cruising in shit city right now, ladies and gentlemen. This album is bad. This album is it's just bad. I had faith that maybe they could come up with at least a handful of decent tracks. Now this shit is just not good. Unconditional. Fucking Shake It Off by Taylor Swift R-beat. I'm so from sleeping. Find a better way. Whatever, man. Whatever. What's the point of giving the vocals this roomy feeling if everything's just so fucking fuzzy? I don't know. Like, one thing I'll give this song is the verses don't sound terrible. I actually like this drum beat. I think it's pretty creative, working in the rims. It does sound actually pretty nice. And I do think that the riffing on this track kind of doing an offbeat thing with the guitars that I think is pretty cool. But this chorus is it's like arguably worse than everything else on the rest of the album because that vocal melody is so fucking obnoxious. I think I would prefer if they made some shit that sounded like so fucking raw that it wasn't palatable to just me personally as opposed to this. I would rather they did something that sounded underproduced than overproduced, because at least with like an underproduced Foo Fighters track, I think that would at least allow the performances to shine. This doesn't. Everything is just so drowned in a sea of density that I can't tell which guitar is doing what. I can only tell what the bass is doing for like half a bar before it gets buried underneath everything else again. And these drums are just so attack heavy. They pierce through this mix in such an ugly way, man. It's the same motherfucker that wrote, literally on their last album, the song The Teacher, one of like their best written tracks. Fuck me. Wasting shite here? Yeah. It's absolutely fucking horrible. A decent sounding first verse that gave the mix a little bit more space and, you know, had a cool drum beat, some decent enough riffing, and then Dave Grohl just decided to fucking shove some shit down your throat with these lyrics. And my god, this chorus, dude, one of the worst parts of the entire album up to this point. It's compressed enough for it to literally be able to fucking pop your head. It's like, again, pausing this, my ears are fucking ringing. Like, it's so damn loud. And I'm playing this shit at the same normal volume I listen to everything else. This album is so compressed to hell. This album is so fucking loud. that it's actually aggravating me. I'm gonna go deaf listening to this. Another solid 3 on that. Child actor, turn down the headphones. I'm not doing that. Listen, I want to listen to this at like the same volume I'd listen to everything else. Because if I start like fucking with shit on my own, then that starts to become an unfair evaluation. I think it was literally on the Foo Fighters reaction that He Who Shall Not Be Named sat there and fucking EQ'd the song on Spotify, and it sounded decent. Actually, maybe I should do that. I don't know how an EQ works. Let me get Spotify up and like try and EQ this shit, because I don't think Tidal has a built-in EQer. Okay, never mind. It's not. I'm not gonna be able to do that. Someone will do that. Someone who uses Spotify will EQ this album to sound good. Child actor. On the wall. Was it good enough? Was it ever good enough? Wrote a song speaking directly to me. Yeah. Is this going to be a big, loud, heavy, explosive moment, or are we going to get some space? I know which one I'm voting on. Won't you turn the cameras off? Turn the cameras off. Turn the cameras off. That's it. That's it. Like they don't even commit to this. It's so fucking short. What's the point? It's so short. Oh my god. Can't believe this is the song to make me cry. Yeah, this is such a surface level exploration of fame. Like, I've heard a million different people tackle this subject in ways that are more genuine, in ways that are more honest, in ways that are more interesting, that actually explore what life is like as a famous person, in ways that are just more descriptive and fascinating than this. This is just him being like, man, there's always people looking at me. That's it. That's as deep as this song goes. Let Corey Feldman do a song about that. Probably be more interesting than this, at least. Oh my fucking god, dude. Yeah, this one was rough. I agree with Brandon. I'd probably give that a flat 3. That's fuck my life. Still another 2 songs to go, dude. I want this album to be fucking over. Oh my god. Why did we start mixing the album out of nowhere? Why have we started playing around with the mixing board? Can we, like, I thought we were meant to just have everything slid up all the way to the top. We finally, 8 tracks into the album, someone sat at the fucking mixing board. Jesus Christ, like, this sounds decent. Where the fuck has this been? Proof that decent mixing won't save dog shit. Lyrics still aren't great. Dog shit mixing or dog shit songwriting, call it. Like, fun riffing, actually a sense of legitimate passion going into this track. The mixing still isn't great, but we've slid around the sliders on the mixing board a little bit. There's been some effort put in. What if modern day Kurt Cobain would go down the Kid Rock path? I feel like modern day Kurt Cobain... Hello? Tidal? Tidal broke. Tidal saved us from the dog shit song. I feel like modern day Kurt Cobain would be mega woke. I feel like Kurt Cobain, just in general, seems like he would be on his mega woke shit, you know? Kid Rock would make a better album than this. I don't know about that. Fucking give that one like a flat 5, I think. Actually, the most tolerable song so far. It wasn't good, but you know, this one actually felt like it had a sense of dynamic range. It felt like there was a little bit more effort put into making this track be balanced, at least a little bit. Some catchy moments, some moments of cool riffing, but still very lackluster songwriting. I still would not call the mixing good. I think it's just like serviceable enough for this track. And also, I just, can't really get behind how basic a lot of these tracks are. This one is no exception to that, unfortunately. Asking for a Friend.
You can save all your promises till the bitter end. What is real? Is this the end?
All apologies if it was good. You like the melodies themselves, but they're executed with no taste and no production chops, so it sounds odd. Nirvana has in utero, Foo Fighters has stillbirth. Yeah. Oh shit. Okay. What's the point? What's the point? Good moments. You know what? That's what this song is. Hype moments and aura. Song has hype moments and aura at points. But for the most part, good fucking god. Listen, this has the best riffing. Easily Dave Grohl's best performance on the whole album. I think that Dave Grohl's performance here is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. This song is like a low 4 for me. It sounds horrible though. Oh my god, this is one of the biggest victims of the mixing, because I'm aware of the fact that if this was mixed well, this track would sound amazing. If this had like a similar production to where similar production to like Echo, Silence, Patience and Grace, if it had like a sound like The Pretender or something like that, I think this song would sound amazing. But no, we're doing this fuzzy, overblown, lack of EQ and lack of mixing bullshit that leaves it sounding like my ears are bleeding because it's so loud. Oh my lord, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. That's the album. This album had so much potential, and then they decided to hire a producer who's never produced an album before. And they decided to bring in Spike Stent to mix it. You end up with this. It's comparable to the sound of their last album, but the last album at least was mixed well, even if it had bad EQing throughout it. I think that the fuzzy sound kind of worked in the previous album's favor at points, as it was meant to be this big emotional outcry, this big, massive swell of just pure sadness being shot out over the course of the 11 tracks of that album. And it ended up being incredibly effective in terms of making a very specific, I guess, out-of-body experience aesthetic for that album. This, it just doesn't work at all. This is just them like digging further and further deeper down into overproduction, maximalism, and a lack of balance. It feels like the entire band are fighting to be in control of these mixes. It feels like the guitars want to be the loudest. It feels like Dave Grohl wants to be the loudest. It feels like the drums want to be the loudest, the bass, the keys. Everyone wants to be the loudest on every single one of these songs. And as a result, you get mixes that are so cluttered, that are so loud, that are so unbalanced, that are so unsatisfying, that it actually hurt my ears. There were multiple tracks that had my ears ringing afterwards because they were that loud. I'm imagining most of these tracks sounding like what Butch Vig brought on Wasting Light, sounding like what I forget the producer's name, but what he brought to an album like Echo, Silence, Patience and Grace, or even an album like One by One. And I think that you could have legitimately gotten a great collection of Foo Fighters tracks here, because there are moments where the performances and the songwriting are just up there, dude. They are just up there, and I can see the visions of these tracks. I can see what they're going for, but the execution, again, it's just so fucking sloppy. It's so sloppy. It literally feels like someone just on the mixing board put all the sliders all the way up to the max. When EQing, they were like, okay, add a little bit of low end, a little bit of mid range, then all the fucking high end in the world, and it feels like the band were just playing as loudly as they could. There's no sense of dynamics. There's no sense of, like, scale to these tracks. The choruses and the verses all just sound as loud as each other. And on the whole, I feel like the moments that have the great writing are so few and far between, because a lot of these tracks are just lackluster in that regard as well. This album is a letdown on every single front. On every single possible front, this album is a major letdown, especially, again, after their last album maybe wasn't the absolute best in their career, but it was a wonderful, more emotional side of the band being shown, and a great display of Foo Fighters being able to make more serious music. And then they come back with an album that just feels like, you know, classic rock isms worship, and a lack of understanding of what makes those classic rock isms actually work. I am going to run the numbers, and I will tell you what my score for this album is. Sounds about right. I am feeling a 3.7 out of 2 on this album, ladies and gentlemen. A high 3. Bear in mind, every other Foo Fighters album I've heard, which is, which ones have I heard? I've not rated all of them, but every other Foo Fighters album I've heard, which is The Color and the Shape, One by One, Echo's Silence, Wasting Light, and But Here We Are, all of them are bare minimum a 7 for me. All of them are like a bare minimum a 7 out of 10 for me. Wasting Light, I gave like an 8 to as well. I think that's like a great album. This is like their worst album I've heard, and it's by such an insanely large margin. Did I say 3.7 out of 2? I meant to say 3.7 out of 10. 3.7 out of 10. It's not a 3.7 out of 2. That's like what, a 17 out of 10 or some bullshit like that. No. Did Medicine at Midnight have better production? I don't know. I've not listened to that one. Did that have... That had Greg Kurstin, who also did But Here We Are, so I can't imagine that album had particularly solid production or anything like that. Calling Everlong one of the best rock songs is one of my worst takes ever. It is. Alright, here we go. The same band that made this fucking slop down here that we just listened to made this song. Never heard this. Sounds boring. Is it Jill Norton or Gil Norton? I forget. But yeah, this guy did this guy did Doolittle and Bossa Nova as well. I've yet to hear Bossa Nova, but yeah, that explains why this shit sounds so good. They got fucking Jill. Again, I don't know how to say his name. Yeah, this is one of the best rock songs of all time, dude. This shit's amazing. Foo Fighters have always been more of a singles band for me than like an albums band. The only album of theirs I ever come back to is Wasting Light. But, you know, you get like tracks like Monkey Wrench, like My Hero, like Everlong, There Is Nothing Left to Lose has tracks like Breakout and Learn to Fly. One by One has All My Life, Low. Oh, no, Echo, Silence, Patience, and Grace has a track like The Pretender. In Your Honor has Best of You. You know, they're a great singles band. They've never really been like an albums band for me, though. Wasting Light is the only album of theirs I ever like re-listened to front to back. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Let me know what you think of this album down below and how it compares to other Foo Fighters albums for you. Yeah, like and sub if you haven't. We are on our way to 5K. Links in the description to my Discord, my Album of the Year, my Twitter, my Instagram, my other channels. Check those out if you haven't. And yeah, I will see you all whenever I next stream or upload. Bye-bye.